Well, this past Wednesday, is it Wednesday? I believe it was this past Wednesday was September 9/11, and that, of course, was a somber day for a lot of reasons. But I was going to do this review on Wednesday, but I just didn't get around to it, and I thought it might be better just to do it for the weekend. But what I would like to do is debunk some of the insidious 9/11 theories. This is probably the worst one out there, so I wanted to go ahead and tackle this just head on because some of you have mentioned this. This is actually two books that are sold separately, but I'm mainly going to focus on this one right here. This is Solving 9/11 by Christopher Bollyn, The Deception That Changed the World. And I believe this is from 2012. Yes, from 2012. And I think this one is as well. I think these were both released at the same time, hence the similar cover art. And what this is Christopher Bollyn is an investigative reporter who worked for the Spotlight magazine or newspaper, whatever. I think that's what it was called back in the 90s and early 2000s. And he claims to have solved 9/11, that this was a false flag attack on the United States. And these are the original articles that he wrote that all about this. And let's see if this mentions. I think this originally appeared in the Spotlight magazine, but I'm not entirely sure. Sorry for the break in the action there, but these are two books, and I don't know if they're available on Amazon. This is definitely one that I hate to use the word censorship. That's very strong. I think book safety is a better way to look at it. Is if we're going to think safe thoughts, we need to make sure there's certain books that aren't available because people could get sucked into those books. And I did it for you, so you don't have to. Solving 9/11 is different than a lot of other conspiracy books and speculative literature about 9/11 because he claims to go through and name names, places, businesses, everything, and claims to unravel pretty much the whole tapestry of 9/11. And again, going through aircraft companies, front companies, all kinds of things. One of the more interesting things that he brings up is the Ace Elevator Company out of Brooklyn that he says was responsible most likely for organizing the controlled demolition of the Twin Towers. And he points out that the Ace Elevator was in charge of the massive elevator renovation on the Twin Towers that was going right up until that renovation was ongoing right up until the day of 9/11. And he points out that it's very interesting that the Ace Elevator Company did not obtain the usual permits required to do elevator maintenance anywhere in New York City, and how odd that is that a company of that stature doing an elevator maintenance contract of this size, which, as he points out in here, that was the largest elevator contract or largest renovation project ever in the history of elevators. So a lot of interesting things like that, where he points out that then the company changed hands and all that. And reading this, and especially reading his original articles, when you read this stuff, it's very easy to fall down the rabbit hole, as it were, and start believing this. And the main thesis that he's presenting is that 9/11 was a false flag by rogue elements within the United States government, coupled with Israeli intelligence, specifically the Israeli Mossad, and done so to bring about wars that would benefit the nation state of Israel. Now, if you tumble down this rabbit hole, if you start falling into this, Um, I'm I'm going to tell you the Rosetta Stone and the key to get right out of the rabbit hole is if this was true, and it's obviously anti-Semitic theorizing to its core. If this was true, this would be all over the news, and it wasn't. And so what Christopher Bollyn would have us believe is that he solved something that nobody else knows about, that he's figured it all out, and all these other people are colluding together, have some kind of bizarre ideological solidarity to hide this giant secret. And that's insane. That's impossible. So again, when you run into friends or family that have fallen down the rabbit hole and believe this sort of material, the best counter to that, the best way to debunk this stuff, because again, he claims he's got all this, so-called evidence throughout here, places, businesses, people, front companies and all, literally hundreds of pages of information. This one I think is about 350 pages. The best rebuttal for that, the best way to shut that down and get back to watching the football game is if he had figured this out, if this is what happened, if 9/11 really was a false flag attack, it would have been all over television. Case closed. So remember that can you imagine how much somebody like Oprah would love to have this guy on a show and give everybody, you get solving 9/11, you get solving 9/11, you get nanothermite, but no, none of that happened. And that's a good litmus test about a lot of these very hurtful, very harmful theories is to apply the television test. Was it on television? In television, legacy media especially, because now, this is 2024 as I'm recording this, and now there's a lot of other subversive news outlets across the internet. But legacy media is literally a pipeline of truth. I shouldn't say truth. Legacy media provides us with the narrative. And I said in a commentary lately, I was talking about how problematic the word truth is. And so I really like to use the word narrative more because I think that's more appropriate. Truth can be a very hurtful word. So anyway, so this is Solving 9/11 by Christopher Bollyn from 2012. Of course, this is the Solving 9/11 book, and then these are the supporting articles. I don't know if these are still available on Amazon, but just know if you were to buy these, I would only do so to keep them away from someone else, because I could see where someone with what's sometimes referred to as an open mind might fall into this and start believing this. And that's where, again, it's important to remind people, if this was true, I don't care how much of the facts this guy tries to dig up, if it was true, it'd be on television, case closed. So anyway, Christopher Bollyn, Solving 9/11, I'll leave it there. I did review this a while back. I think it's now in the member section, but anyway, definitely one to avoid for sure, because especially around this time of year, every year, you have people dredging up these very hurtful, harmful theories about rogue elements in the U.S. government and things like that. So avoid that book, and like I said, easily debunked.